Happy Sunday, CTA members. I just wanted to stop in tonight and give you an update on a couple important things. First of all, I know in the past we've told you that you probably shouldn't sign any documents until you heard from us. So I did want to let you know that for our teachers and our other members of the teacher bargaining unit, you will receive an intent form from Superintendent Addison Davis tonight. This intent form, we have gone over it multiple times with the superintendent. It is a non-binding document, so it doesn't alter your contract in any way, but it's going to ask you, you're going to have 3 questions to answer. The first one is going to be, do you intend to return? Now, in saying yes, just keep in mind, you're going to be returning to the position you have. So if you're a science teacher at Riverview High School, then you're saying, I'm going to go back to brick and mortar school at Riverview High School because that's your current assigned position. It's also going to give you an option to say you would potentially take a leave or that you are going to retire or resign. That's going to be question 1. And I do know that one can throw people off a little bit in the way it's worded. But in the second question, that's where you're going to get to put some of the preferences that I know so many of you are interested in. So the next page is going to give you definitions of what both e-learning and teaching in Hillsborough Virtual School will look like. And keep in mind, e-learning is going to have different expectations than what we had in the spring. In the spring, I know we all turned on a dime and made those changes. And I know you all did a great job and worked really hard. But for e-learning as a choice for our kids in the fall, we are going to have a much more structured day that closely aligns with the regular school day. Hillsborough Virtual, on the other hand, is where you will have that much more flexible schedule where you have to be available 8 hours out of the day, but it can be a little later, it can be a little earlier, and kids are doing a lot of work on their own. So those definitions are there, and it's going to give you some preference options in terms of virtual e-learning or, again, brick and mortar school. Last, you're going to see, in essence, a button to check yes if you have a reasonable accommodation or a medical issue, basically, which is why you need to be in e-learning or virtual learning. And so here again, we've talked about wanting to make sure we're hanging on to these kinds of positions for people who otherwise cannot return to work. Now, the district is not limiting who can ask for e-learning. But when we look at some of these things, the Americans with Disabilities Act is going to give people who have a medical issue the chance to ask for a special accommodation. And in this case, it would be teaching virtually or remotely. And so this is, again, it is not a binding document. It's not a contract. But it is going to give the district, just as they are looking to parents to see where our kids are going to end up in the fall, they want to know what your preferences are in the same way. Now, if preferences do not align, for instance, if only 30% of kids are going to be in e-learning and 50% of you want to teach in the e-learning environment, we're probably not going to be able to accommodate everyone. But I do know the district is going to make some reasonable attempts to try. And so I wanted to let you know it is okay to fill that document out. If in fact you have medical issues, the HR department is working on another document that you would fill out to talk to them about those. HR, again, is the only place in this district you should send your medical information. And that document, I would assume, will be out tomorrow or Tuesday at the latest. But definitely you can fill this one out. You do not have to wait to the end date and choose the thing you want. And this way the district will have a good idea of where people want to go and how far off we are with where kids are wanting to go. So the other important thing I wanted to say in the context of school is I'm sure you all are probably upset to see the same news I was, which is Florida is #1 in coronavirus cases today. So I want to, again, keep you informed. We are working with the district currently to finish up an MOU that would cover the things we currently know about in our new COVID world. And so again, we're talking about health and safety. We're talking about the kind of expectations you can have, whether you're in the workplace or you're doing e-learning. We're talking about all of those things we have discussed at many points. Of course, this whole situation changes daily. So we're going to try to sign an MOU with the district in the next day or so. It is probably not going to be the only MOU we sign. So I do want you to know that we are, I am sure, going to have many things that come up for all of us that we're going to need to address, and we do plan to do that. Last thing I want to say is in terms of school, I know many of you have very definitive feelings about going back to school, ranging from we absolutely have to do it to complete panic. And you know, I honestly understand all of that spectrum of emotions. You've all been very good about making sure I'm aware of where you stand and why, about making sure Rob is aware of that. And so we are certainly, happy to have that information. Right now, we're going to try to finish the MOU. That's our first goal, because in the event schools go back as planned, I want that available. I want you to have the protections we're seeking. But that doesn't mean we're not continuing to watch the numbers every single day and that we won't potentially fight for some alternate sort of situation, especially if our numbers keep going up like this. And so again, it could be, we talked a little bit about this in our Zoom the other night, it could be that we're talking about just pushing back kids for a couple weeks so that you all can come in, you can do you would start at your normal time, you could do training, you could get your schools prepared for what you're going to have to deal with, because at that point you'll know how many kids are coming. And so that could be something that is a reasonable sort of way to get kids a little bit, pushed back a little bit more. Again, if the numbers keep rising, we will certainly call for e-learning if that is what we believe is the only way to keep both you all and your students safe. So please do not think we're ruling any of those things out. But what we do want to do is make sure we get that memorandum of understanding signed in the event school goes back, because we're getting pretty close in time to when many of you are reporting back, and so we want to make sure we have those shared understandings. But it doesn't mean we're ruling out further action and further discussions with the superintendent or the school board if that is needed. So I just want to give you all this quick update for Sunday night. I'm sure we're going to be doing a member Zoom again at some point this week. I would say Tuesday or Wednesday is a good bet, and we'll keep you posted on the member group as well as by email when that happens. So thanks everyone, and have a great night.